Hello, everybody. Welcome to day 6 of our whole, Quran reading. Sorry I'm sitting super close to the camera because the lighting in the background is weird. And so I was just like, I'm just going to sit more forward and then it'll be clearer. So we're in now Surah 2. We're reading from 140 or so. We're actually at 141. And I left off yesterday by asking the question, like, is the Quran actually coming for Christians and Jews and all of that? Because I did not know that this was such a thing in the Quran. I never heard this before, and I feel a little bit disappointed that the Muslims I've met have never really shared this notion. If this is what they believe in, they've never really said any of this, which is kind of making me think, like, have I been... I don't know. We'll come back to my thoughts. So we'll start from 140 to remind us of where we were. Or do you say that Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, and the tribes of Jews or Christians say, do you know better than Allah? Who is more unjust than those who conceal the testimony they have from Allah? But Allah is not unmindful of what you do. 141. That was a people that have passed away. They shall reap the fruit of what they did, and you of what you do. Of their merits there is no question in your case. The fools among the people will say, what has turned them from the Qibla to which they were used? Say, to Allah belong east and west. He guides whom he will to a way that is straight. Thus we have made of you an ummah, justly balanced, that you might be witness over the nations, and the messenger a witness over yourself. And we appointed the Qibla to which you were used only to test those who followed the messenger from those who would turn on their heels from the faith. Okay, so obviously we're going to have to figure out what this is, aren't we, guys? Let's be honest, because I'm like, what's this Qibla situation? A lot of these words that I don't understand. I don't know if there's a key in the... Let me check, actually. Maybe there's a key in the... Because I know... Let me check if there's a key in here. Do they have a key of your own texts? So they have an index. That's one thing. Do we have a key? Okay, no. So let's go for a search. One thing I will say about the Quran so far is I think it's a really tough read. Like, I don't feel like any type of storyline. It feels like learning a script in a way. I've learned scripts in my life. I'm very good at learning scripts, actually, believe it or not. And yeah, it just feels like... It feels like a script listening to it. Like, this is what you're supposed to say. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to be, you know? It's very, like, scripty. So that's why I'm a bit like, it's a tough read for me. Like, when I read the Bible, it feels like I'm reading a story. It feels like I'm reading... And it feels like everything that's being said has so many levels and, like, dimensions to it. But when I'm reading the Quran, it kind of feels a bit like... I don't know. Like, it's very direct, which is good, but then it's also just like, but where does that go? Okay. The Qibla. Okay, a pilgrim. Hold on, let me go into the direction of the sacred shrine of Kaaba in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, towards which Muslims turn 5 times each day when performing the Salat. Oh, the Salat. Yes, I knew about that because I had to, yeah. Oh, wow. This sun is like, I don't know what it's doing. Look at this. And it's because of the window. It's because of where the window, like, pane is, that it just... Anyways, guys, you don't care. I know, it's fine. Who has turned from them who has turned them from the Qibla? I would say, who has turned them from the direction of the sacred shrine of Kaaba in Mecca? Oh, Mecca is the place I was thinking of. I say to Allah belongs to the west, east, and the west. He who guides... He guides whom he will to a way that is straight. Thus we have made of you an ubla, just balance, that you might be witness over the nations, and the messenger a witness over yourselves. And we appointed the Qibla to which you were used only to test those who followed the messenger from those who would turn on their heels from the faith. Indeed, it was a change momentous, except to those guided by Allah. And never Allah make your faith of no effect. For Allah is to all people most surely full of kindness, most merciful. We see the turning of your face for guidance to the heavens. Now shall we turn to a Qibla that shall please you. Turn your face in the direction of the sacred mosque. So it says it now. Wherever you are, turn your faces in that direction. The people of the book know well that that is the truth from their Lord, nor is Allah unmindful of what they do. Even if you were to bring to the people of the book all the signs together, that would not follow your Qibla, nor are you going to follow their Qibla, nor indeed will they follow each other's Qibla. If you, after the knowledge has reached you, were to follow their vain desires, then would you indeed be clearly in the wrong. The people of the book know this as they know their sons, but some of them conceal the truth which they know themselves. The truth is from your Lord, so be not at all in doubt. To each is a goal to which Allah turns him. Then strive together as in a race towards all that is good. Wheresoever you are, Allah will bring you together, for Allah has power over all things. From wheresoever you start out, turn your face in the direction of the sacred mosque. That is indeed the truth from your Lord, and Allah is not unmindful of what you do. So from wherever you start out, turn your face in the direction of the sacred mosque, and wherever you are, turn your face there, and there will be no ground of dispute against you among the people, except those of them that are bent on wickedness. So fear them not, but fear me, that I may complete my favors on you, and you may be content to be guided. A similar favor have you already received, in that we have sent you a messenger of your own, rehearsing to you our signs, and purifying you, and instructing you in scripture and wisdom, and in new knowledge. Then do you remember me, I will remember you, be grateful to me, and reject not faith. O you who believe, seek help with patient perseverance and prayer, for Allah is with those who patiently persevere. And say not of Allah, those who are slain in the way of Allah, they are dead. Nay, they are living, though you perceive it not. Be sure we shall test you with something of fear and hunger, some loss in goods or lives, or the fruits of your toil, but to give glad tidings to those who patiently persevere, who say, when afflicted with the calamity, to Allah we belong, and to Him is our return. They are those on whom descend blessings from their Lord and mercy, and are the ones that receive guidance. Behold, as Safa and Al-Mara are among the symbols of Allah, so if those who visit the house in the season or at other times should go around them, it is no sin in them. And if anyone obeys his impulse to do good, be sure Allah is He who recognizes and knows. So again, this do good thing. Those who conceal the clear signs we have sent down, and the guidance after we have made it clear for the people in the book, on them shall be the curse, and the curse of those entitled to curse. Except those who repent and make amends and openly declare the truth, to them I turn, and I am oft returning, most merciful. Those who reject the faith and die rejecting, on them is Allah's curse and the curse of angels and all of mankind. They will remain in it. Their penalty will not be lightened, nor will respite be their lot. And your God is one God. There is no God, but He is most gracious and merciful. Can I just say something here? I really feel for the Muslim community if this is actually what they believe in, because what a scary existence this is. Like, if this is what I believed in and this is what I would have to be or achieve in order to be seen like as worthy, this kind of back and forth of like, if you do this, you will do well. If you do not do this, if you're a rejecter of the faith, this is what will happen to you. It reminds me of like, what I'm going to say is going to sound wild, but it's the only way that I can describe it. Oh, I'm not even going to connect it to the life experience that I've had that I can relate to this specifically, but I'll use a different example. It's like when you have leaders that, like how you have leaders that lead by inspiration, and then you have leaders that lead by fear. So some leaders, people follow you, people respect you, people are humbled in front of you because you are a leader, right? And so you see an example of this in One Piece, right? Luffy, who's the captain of his ship, his people on his ship, right? He doesn't tyrannically lead over them. they're there, that they respect him, they listen to him because he is the captain, right? Ultimately, his say goes, no matter what, even though he's a bit of a silly sausage, whatever. What he says goes. He is the captain. They are under his submission. They want to be they want to be under his leadership. They want to be on his ship, right? Then you have other leaders who lead by violence. So somebody like me who comes from a place like Zimbabwe, where, there was Robert Mugabe, who for a while was leading by fear, as in, if you do not vote for us to be in power, we're going to shoot we're going to shoot you in the roads. We're going to do this. So yes, are people obeying, but are they obeying because they're inspired, or are they obeying because they're in fear? And that's my question here, is like, are people in Islam, are they obeying because they're inspired, or are they obeying because they're in fear? Hold on a minute. Because for me, I'm just kind of seeing it like there's a lot of like, and if you do this, and if you do this, then you will do well. But if you do not do this, then is it just that you're literally just trying to go through life adding proofs and reasons and evidence for why you are good and you're on Allah's side, and as long as you live as much as possible of the Quran, then maybe you'll make it, or what? Because it just seems like it seems like an easy way. I feel like as humans, right, let's be completely honest, as humans, it's easy for us to follow something like this and feel like if it means that by following this we're doing something, because if by following this that means we're doing something, then that means that as long as I follow this, it's a very outward thing. It has nothing to do with your inner heart. It has nothing to do with who you are on the inside, and everything to do with what you do on the outside. If you pray in the direction of the Qibla, the sacred shrine of Kaaba in Mecca, 5 times a day, the salat as they're supposed to, then you're great. You're doing your prayers. If you're giving to charity, if you're following this, then you're good. That says nothing about your heart. That says nothing about your intentions. And I don't know, for me, guys, at least as far as the types of relationships I want to have with people, and then also with God or whatever God I serve, I don't want it to be just that I can just be fake and be outside and be outward. And what I'm doing on the outside is the totality of what I'm being evaluated on, and how my worthiness of getting to heaven or hell is being quantified on. It doesn't really make any sense to me, right? So I'm kind of struggling to understand, like, are we just going to go back and forth? Because it kind of like reminds me of you just being kept in a certain place, because you being kept in that place is a representation of like, well, you're here because I'm going to keep reminding you of what to do well, but I'm also going to keep reminding you of what's going to happen if you don't do well. Right? Well, if you don't do well, and this is again why I find Allah to be very different from God of the Bible, because God of the Bible, he does state his claim and he does say what he needs to say, but for the most part, even when people are turning away, he doesn't tell you, oh, and if you turn away from me, I'm going to do this. He does at some points, but a lot of the time in the Bible, a lot of the time, he just leaves you to read the story to see exactly what happens when people were on his side and when people weren't, when people were putting him first and when people weren't. And he leaves that up to the reader. That's one of the reasons why when people, talk about the wrath of God of the Bible, I'm like, he's not that wrathful. Actually, most of the time, he goes completely silent. I noticed this in the Old Testament, where you have God speaking to a person, one of his children. He'll tell them what they need to do. He'll tell them how everything has to be. And then what will happen is they eventually will be with him. They'll decide to go off and do their own thing. And then you just won't hear from God. You'll just hear, and then Abraham did this, and then Abraham did that, and then Abraham did this. So that dialogue that was taking place that we were reading before between them and God is no longer there, because they've off gone and done their thing. And so God is just like, okay, let's just let the people know what happened. And then we figure it out, what happens, we see the results, and then eventually they end up back with God. And I think that that's a way more powerful way of seeing somebody that you're going to see as God, or a God to submit to, because he's not shoving down your throat, Abraham, you fool. This is why you follow, me. It's that you as the reader realize that, yeah, actually, without God having to even say it, actually, every time the people strayed from God, it just didn't work out for them in this life. Not just the next life. It's not all about the next life. It's not, because this is my other thing I have with a lot of religions. It's like, why are we so fixated on what happens after the other side? What about what we're doing when we're here? And just doing things like, giving and all of that, it's not enough. What are we doing when we're here? What's our purpose while we're here? Because if all we're doing while we're here is just to be good to go somewhere else, then what was the point of ever being here? Because in the Bible, my understanding is that us being here is us having the opportunity to form a relationship with God, so that if we want to form that relationship, then we get to form it while we're here. we get to share it. We get to have this experience of living similarly in a fashion to God, right? We get the opportunity of free will. We get the opportunity to create. We get the opportunity to create legacy, right? That's an option that I have with God. With God, I can build things in this life that can exist far longer than I ever am in existence on this planet Earth. I have the free will to cook whatever I want to cook, to go where I want to go, be around who I want to be, see myself as I am. I am getting to in my own life live to an extent of what God gets to do, because God is the ultimate creator, God is the ultimate writer, God is the ultimate everything, and he gives us an opportunity not just to experience that for ourselves in our own lives, but also, you know, he gives us the opportunity to develop a relationship with him that isn't just, oh, we were all perfect in heaven. But it's like, no, this relationship we get to forge together. We get to go through the ugly parts, the hard parts of getting to know God, the times when we don't know where he is, if he's even there, why he's letting us go through this, the times when, you know, we're letting him down and then we actually feel bad about it. Because for me, I don't feel bad for letting God down because I feel like I'm going to hell. I feel bad for letting God down because of how good God is to me and because I care about him, and I would hate to hurt God's feelings, because I'm like, God, I love you so much. I never want to hurt the feelings of somebody that I love, right? And so that whole experience is completely different to what I'm reading right now, where it's very like, oh, if you do this and if you do that, then you're going to do amazing. Like, you're going to be forward. You're going to be going to this other life. But then I'm just kind of keep going to reminding you, almost out of fear. Like, if that was fearful, I don't know how people live like that. I really want to understand what is the purpose in all of this. Like, as from, if there's anybody that's Muslim that ever watches this video, like, what is the purpose in all of this? Because from so far what I've read, it's a lot of just, don't do this, don't do this. If you do this, then a lot of very extreme words about what's going to happen to you. And then if you don't do that, if you do what's right, then you're going to get this special favor that Allah's giving you in his mercy and in his grace. You know, not even, they don't use the word grace. They do call him merciful. They don't use the word grace. And it's a special favor, and you get to have that as long as you do this and you do this and you do this. There's not room for critical thinking. There's not room for questioning. It's that you follow this and you do this, or if you don't, then you're wrong. Because even in all of these questions where it's like, so, or what if they say this, or what if the Christians and the Jews say that, it reminds me so much, I hate to say it, but of this same thing that I was saying about L. Ron Hubbard in Scientology. This whole like preparation of how we're going to answer the very fair and valid questions that people might come to ask you, and you have these like answers pre-prepared for these people. It's a bit strange, because I think with God likes to, a lot of the times with these types of questions with God, the answer isn't, oh, you're just going to realize eventually that you're wrong to even be asking that question, and you just need to accept. The reality is that God is like, oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because I'm so ready to answer your question. I'm so ready to give you the assurance that you need. I'm so ready to encourage your critical thinking and your desire to understand and to follow something that makes sense to you, not just something that you feel you have to agree to because you've been told that you either agree to this and you believe in this, otherwise you're going to hell. This is exactly what religion is. And that's why I'm just like, this is kind of scary to read. I find it tough to actually read, is because I'm just like, I don't understand where we're going with this. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. Are we just telling people, excuse me, sorry guys, I've been so busy. I'm really tired. I've been tired in all the videos, guys. Please don't take it to heart specifically for this video. But yeah, I just don't really understand what the purpose is here. So if anybody can like enlighten me if I'm missing something, it just seems to me like, I don't think I am, but maybe I am. I'm always open to correction, right? But I just feel like it just seems like, well, you do this and you, because for me, I'll be very honest with you guys, if I was into, I would never be able to be a part of something like that. I'm not going to lie to you, because I've said to God, like, I'm not just somebody who can just do things for the sake of it. Like I said, the purposes of me having God are way in my life, the reasons why I want to have it have got way more to do with the relationship I have with him, the opportunity of thriving and winning on earth, than it does with just, oh, let me be good enough to get to heaven. And actually, I don't want to have to try to be good enough. I've been tried to have to be good enough. I've had people think, oh, wow, she's got her life together. Oh, wow, she should, like, I've had so many young people who I've known growing up tell me as an adult, like, you know, growing up, I was always told, my parents always said you should be more like Nyasha, you should be more like this. I've lived that life of the so-called good, and I wasn't happy. It wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't helping anybody. In fact, it was making people feel worse about themselves. I prefer it here, where I show a real life relationship with a God, and a God who wants to form that same individual happy relationship with everybody, that individual thriving relationship with everybody. And in that relationship, of course, there are discipline. He is a good father. God is a good father. Of course, there is discipline. Of course, there is tough times. Like I said in other videos, you must be purified by fire. Of course, there are things that God puts you through where you're like, God, this is hard, or really tough lessons that the Lord teaches me sometimes where I'm like, God, you did not have to be that brutal. But like I said, he's a good father, and a good father has the balance between knowing when you need those types of things, but also making sure that at every point you feel, you know that you are loved, even if you don't necessarily feel it in the moment, but knowing that what he is doing in the long run is for the betterment. And it is about love. It's not about tyrant being all over you. And like, when I say all over you, I mean towering over you as some kind of dictator, but forming a relationship, right? And seeing you also have the opportunity to enjoy everything that he created for you to enjoy, as well as, you know, that relationship with, as well as being able to go to heaven and all of that. But that's just the bonus. That's like part of the bonus package, like I keep liking to say. So yeah, I don't know. I'm finding this a little bit of a tough read, because I'm like, I see what we're saying. We're kind of just firing shots at other people. And also, I just don't see the purpose other than doing good just to please Allah. Like, even in doing good with God, it's not only just to please God. It's about God's way of doing things is actually better for you anyway. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So there's so many layers as to why God tells you, you know, in the God of the Bible, like, follow my commandments. It's like, yeah, first of all, yes, if you love me, you follow my commandments. That is the scripture. But it's also, if you love yourself, you would follow my commandments, because you realize that I have better standards for you than you have for yourself. I love you more than you love yourself. So I'm giving you the ways in order for you to be able to love yourself even better than you're even possible of loving yourself, because you don't even have the tools, because you don't have them. And that's why you're a child of mine, and I am your father, and I will guide you in a better life for yourself. And we will forge a relationship together of love until you ultimately, you get your opportunity to create and do what I did in this universe, right? To an extent, and then you get to come and be with me, and we could get to be together forever, and we forged a real life relationship where we're looking forward to seeing each other. And it's not just that, you know, I'm telling you, like, if you do good, you get your ticket into heaven, and let's just hope I've scored enough on the test of life in order to make it, because that's kind of how it's coming across. I hope I don't seem rude. I'm just being completely honest. So you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, because if life's a game, let's play to win. God bless every single one of you guys watching this, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.